Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you my October book haul. Okay you guys, in terms of library books and like physical books purchase, things were very reserved this month, which is great. I do have quite a few ebooks to talk about though, but we'll get into that. But we will, as always, start off with the library books that I picked up in the month of October. So the first and only book that I picked up from the library, that's right, the only. I picked up a total of one book from the library in October. I don't think that has ever happened. I'm kind of proud of myself because like, if you guys have been watching my channel, you know that I've been constantly being like barraged by library due dates, been really struggling to keep on top of things. So to have only got one new book out from the library in October is very, very a good thing. Very, 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 very proud of myself. So the thing that I did pick up as well is a graphic novel, so not even a book. I picked up Spell on Wheels by Kate Leth, Megan Levins, and Marissa Louise. I've been interested in this for a really long time. I've heard a few people mention it. I can't think who I've heard mention it, but it's basically a YA/new adult graphic novel about three girls who live together and are witches. And I think there's also at least one or some LGBT, at least one of them on the cover, or two of them maybe are people of color. So there's a lot of rep in here. I've heard, that's mainly why I've heard people talk about it. It involves witches. You guys know I freaking love witches. And it's basically, I think, they have an ex that breaks into their house and steals a really important spell. And it's about them going on a road trip, like a revenge road trip, to get this spell back. It just sounds so, so good. I'm also been interested in it because Kate Leth, who I believe is one of the illustrators, I've got all library receipts and crap in the front of it. Kate Leth is involved sometimes in the Buffering the Vampire Slayer podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts ever. So to know that she is a big Buffy fan, and I just feel like I'm going to love this. And I just on a whim thought, oh, I'm just going to check that my library has it, because I really didn't expect them to, because I believe this isn't published by one of the main like graphic novel publishers, I don't think. And it is just the one edition, like this is the complete, everything that's been published in it. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to check, and my library did have it. I was so excited. I can't wait to get to this. In case you guys couldn't tell, I'm really, really excited to have my hands on this copy. So now to move on to ebooks. So I purchased 6. However, I was also approved for 6 on Netgalley. It had been a little while since I'd gone through Netgalley and requested stuff, and sometimes I just really get that hankering to kind of see what's on there, and then I end up requesting things. So I also have 6 Netgalley approvals. So I've got 12 ebooks total to talk to you guys about. So I'm going to start off with the 6 that I purchased. So the first of those is Give It Back by Danielle Esplin. This one is a thriller. It's basically about, I think it's focused on kind of 3 women. We've got the first woman, and then she's got a au pair to look after her children, and then the third woman is the first woman's sister. I feel like I'm not explaining this well at all. It's her sister, and she comes to stay, and there's some like really weird stuff going on. Like the au pair's maybe a bit creepy, I think, or there's some weird stuff going on with the sister as well. Like everything is just a bit creepy and a bit like weird. It sounds very interesting. I believe this was just like a free book on Amazon, so it just sounded like an interesting thriller concept, so I bought it. The next ebook that I purchased was Yellow Crocus by, who's this one by? Layla Ibrahim. This one I had marked as to read on my TBR quite a while ago. I think if I recall, I heard about it from Lisa over at Books and Smiles, and I saw this one and it was $1.49, so I bought it. This one is a historical fiction that basically follows on a black wet nurse, and I think it basically follows on her relationship with the white child that she is the wet nurse for, and about kind of their relationship with her being a slave and a wet nurse and the white child, that type of thing. I've heard pretty positive reviews about it. I think I've heard a couple of people talk about it, but I've been very interested in it. Like I said, I marked it as to read a while ago, and I did see it for only $1.49, so I was pretty excited. Next, I purchased Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This one I saw and I was going to purchase it. I thought, oh, it's a couple of dollars, and it actually turned out to be free, which I was really excited about, because this is a book that I've been interested in for quite a while, like this whole series. It's a new adult romance series, and this first one follows characters who, one is an alcoholic, I think, and one is a sex addict, and they're best friends. And they use each other as like cover for their addictions, like they help each other out in that way. And then I think a real type of romance forms. I'm not exactly sure on the details. I've heard pretty positive reviews about Krista and Becky Ritchie's whole series, and when I saw this one for free, I thought, I'm just going to purchase it because then I can read the first one, give it a go, see if I like it. The next book that I purchased is Hustle by Ashley Claudy. I don't really know too much about this one. This one I just saw for free, and it's a new adult sports romance. It's a football romance. That's all I really know, but it was free, and I haven't read too many like new adult I haven't read too much new adult, but I also don't think I've read any sports romance in that genre, and I know that sports romance in general is very popular in the new adult kind of age range, so I thought I'd buy this one and give it a go. Next, I purchased Finding Cinderella by Colleen Hoover. This one I just purchased because it's the novella that follows, I think there's two books in the Hopeless, there's two books in the Hopeless series by Colleen Hoover, and then there's this little novella, and it was free on ebook, so I just thought I'll purchase it so that I've got it for when I eventually read that series. I then also purchased Lie to Me by Natasha Preston. This is another free one that I just happened to come across and thought sounded vaguely interesting. This one is a new adult romance, and it's about two people who both have something to hide, I believe. That's all I really know, but it was intriguing and it was free. So now moving on to the 6 Netgalley approvals that I had in October. First off, I have Deliver Me by Karen Cole. This one is a adult thriller, and it's basically about this woman who goes to the doctor one day, and the doctor informs her that she's pregnant. However, she knows that she hasn't had sex in over a year. And she then starts to think back to New Year's Day when she had a very terrible experience that she couldn't remember a lot the night before, and just had a very, very awful day, and starts to think that she was sexually assaulted on New Year's Eve, and it just kind of follows that. Obviously, there's going to be trigger warnings in this for sexual assault, but it just sounded very intriguing. That whole plot of going to the doctor and finding out you're pregnant and knowing that you haven't had sex, that is terrifying. Am I right? Like, oh, when I read that, I was like, holy crap, that is really, really scary. So that one definitely intrigued me, and I did get approved for that one this month. And then was also approved for a book called A Danger to Herself and Others by Alyssa B. Scheinmal. This one is a YA mental illness book, and this one I'm just actually going to read you the little synopsis on Goodreads because I could not find an easy way to describe what this is about. So it says, only when she's locked away does the truth begin to escape. 4 walls, 1 window, no way to escape. Hannah knows there's been a mistake. She didn't need to be institutionalized. What happened to her roommate at her summer program was an accident. As soon as the doctors and judge figure out that she isn't a danger to herself and others, she can go home and to start her senior year. In the meantime, she's going to use her persuasive skills to get the staff on her side. Then Lucy arrives. Lucy has her own baggage, and she may be the only person who can get Hannah to confront the dangerous games and secrets that landed her in confinement in the first place. So I was just kind of intrigued about that. It's a mental illness book, but it's also kind of got some mystery aspect to it. Like, did she do something in the past, or did she not? What did she do? It also sounded very intriguing, and like, hopefully it's going to be a good time. Next, I have The Promise by Teresa Driscoll. This one is another adult thriller, and this one basically follows 3 women who, when I think they were in high school or college, they did something terrible and they made a pact to never talk about it again. 2 of them are still friends. It's like 30 years later, 2 of them are still friends. However, they've lost contact with the 3rd woman, and then something happens that threatens to kind of all bring it back up, and these 2 women try to track down the 3rd member of their group, and it just basically follows that story. Again, you guys know I love a thriller, and this one just sounded pretty intriguing. Next, I have The Widow Next Door by L.A. Detweiler. This one is another thriller. This one's just basically about a couple who move into a new house, and there is a widow living next door, and she seems like a nice little old lady, and then I think things start to get a little bit sinister with this little old lady. Creepy little old ladies, ugh, like that. Again, that just sounded really creepy and intrigued me immediately. Next, I was approved for Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nahn. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. This one I was really excited to get approved for because I recently saw Lala from Books and Lala talk about it, and she had positive things to say. So when I saw it, I thought, oh, I'll just request it and see what happens, and I was actually approved. So this one is a YA fantasy, and it basically follows a girl who, from what I understand, she's like one of the king's consort, and then she falls in love with another one of the king's consort. So it is a female-female relationship in there, I believe, which I was excited about. This one actually has in the synopsis, and this is the first time I've ever seen this, and I actually came across it later on in the month, which I'll be talking about in another video, but it actually had trigger warnings listed in the synopsis. So this one has trigger warnings for violence and sexual abuse. Like I said, I just knew that Lala had enjoyed this, and it has like kind of an intriguing plot. I'm always interested in female-female romances in books, so very excited to get to that one. And then the final book that I was approved for in Netgalley is Forget Me Not by A.M. Taylor. This one is another thriller. You guys know that I love thrillers. This one is basically about a girl whose best friend goes missing, I think when they're teenagers, and it's, did I write down how long? 16, or is that 10? Is that a 10 or a 16, Karen? I don't know. 10 or 16 years later, the girl who went missing's younger sister is found murdered in the exact spot where the older sister went missing. Again, very intriguing. I love a missing person. I love a murdered person. Well, you know what I mean. I just love any thriller cliche. I'm totally into. I just love thrillers. Before we get into the physical books that I purchased, I thought I would just show you guys this bookish related item that I did receive in the month. So my brother and his girlfriend recently got back from an 8-week holiday in Europe, of which I was super, super jealous. And while they were in London, they did go to the Harry Potter shop, and they purchased for me as a gift this Hufflepuff badge because I am a Hufflepuff. And I'm really, really excited to have my hands on this because God knows I love me some Harry Potter merch. And finally, moving on to the physical books that I purchased in the month of October, I did stick to my just strictly one book depository order. So the first thing that I have is this bind up from the Sweep series by Kate Tiernan. This is the final bind up, so it includes the last 3 books, which are Reckoning, Full Circle, and Knight's Child. This is the 5th bind up. There are 5 total bind ups. There's like 15 books in this series. I feel like I've owned the first volume in this for forever, and I don't even really know what this is about. All I really know is that it's a YA series, long series, about witches. And that was all I really needed to know. And I finally, after all this time, have this final bind up. So excited to have my hands on that. I then purchased The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. This is a book that's been on my wish list for ages that I do. Oh, look how nicely my nails match this cover. I have read this. I read this last year and really, really loved it and just wanted to purchase so I could have my hands on the physical copy, and it's been on my wish list for ages, but I finally did get my hands on it this month. And then the final book that I purchased is Spyglass by Maria V. Schneider. You guys might have seen this in my November TBR. So this is the 3rd and final book in the trilogy. Really excited to finally have my hands on this. The Glass trilogy is a spin-off from the study series by Maria V. Schneider and follows one of the side characters. And like I mentioned, I'm just excited to finally have this so that I can finally get started on reading that trilogy and continuing on in that world. So those are all of the books that I purchased in the month of October. I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below if you've read any of the books that I purchased or how your book buying went in October. Did you buy too many? Did you buy just enough? I would love to know. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. But that is all I have for this video today. Bye guys.